Good evening, everyone. We will call our meeting to order. The first order of business is our land acknowledgement, and I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kma'ki in the district of Sabaganagati, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people.
Where's your bling?
Next is a moment of silent contemplation. Next, we'll have the approval of or amendments to the agenda.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion is carried. Next is the approval of the minutes of February 23rd, 2022 regular meeting of council.
So moved.
Moved and seconded by Councillor Knockwood. Any discussion? Question's been called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion is carried. Now we'll move along to correspondence for information. This has been in front of us. Is there any particular item that any councillor wishes to comment on or has questions for? Deputy Warden.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Item number 68, the letter to Long Lake property owners regarding enforcement of development agreement. I was quite surprised of the concerns in that letter about vegetation removal, et cetera. It's easy to replace vegetation, but it takes a long time to get back to its natural state. So that really one kind of made me wonder, and hopefully it'll be rectified as best it can be. It took a while for the vegetation to grow, so I don't think it's going to be replaced as soon as it could be. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Musa.
Yeah, to the same. I agree with you, Councillor Deputy Warden. I think the consequences should be a little bit harsher too. So it should be something that hurt a little bit this way, because anybody can clear everything and start all over. Like it take 20 years to do it. So, and one more question, John, if someone, you said you talk about a lien against the whole corporation or the individual property that do it?
Through you, Madam Warden. So if there's any enforcement action, it would be against the condominium corporation because that is the owner of the property.
So the individual property could ruin everybody.
Well, again, whenever we enforce something related to land, it goes to the property owner, and in this case, it would be the condo corporation. So each individual unit holder may, I don't know what sort of internal bylaws they would have to recoup the cost from that person, but we would go to the condo corporation.
That's something new. Yeah. So but each property they pay their own taxes. Like their assessment is on their property, but the corporate, like the condominium corporation, own the whole property, like the whole land.
That's right. There are individual units, but there's only one PID for the entire.
So you cannot enforce, like you cannot put lien on the individual one instead of.
Well, through you, Madam Warden, we haven't gotten there with anyone at this point. That's our understanding. I obviously would consult our solicitor before we did that, but to my knowledge, that's what we would do. We would go to the condo corporation as the property owner.
Yeah, because if we could do a lien on the individual property, I think it's a better way if we can do it. So it's something to look at. Yeah, thank you.
Counselor Perry.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Through you to staff, and this is a bit of a comment as well. It seems like we rezoned a lot of the areas around all of our water courses, lakeshore residential or water course. Is it water course? I forget what the actual zoning is for the
Well, there's Lakeshore Residential, and then there's the Watercourse Greenbelt. zone.
water course greenbelts. That's what I was going for. And I'm really glad that we have those zones, but I think one of the things that we might need to look at is strengthening our enforcement and maybe even looking at the penalties, because a lot of these areas, if you see, they're being cut down. The people say they're sorry. We'll plant a couple trees to replace it, and like the deputy warden, the councillor said, it takes a long time. And you know, during that period of time, as we all have seen with a lot of the rains that we've had recently, there's a lot of erosion and silt and everything else that falls into place. And I think we might need to look at beyond just planting vegetation, managing the soils entering those water courses and the effect it will have on the environment is something I think we might want to look at strengthening that environmental side of the regulations on there moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments on correspondence for information? Seeing none, we will move to correspondence for decision. The first item is the municipal alcohol project update. And I believe that would be Alana.
Thank you, Madam Warden, through you to council. This has been a conversation that's been ongoing for a little over a year. In January 2021, the Health Authority reached out to some of council, in which case a letter was shared as an information item, and it was around creation of a municipal alcohol project working group. At that time, no action was taken, and a month later, in February of 2021, the Health Authority staff emailed the CAO regarding this project as well and suggested that both municipal staff and council could be part of the working group. It would be co-chaired at that time, they had indicated, by Nova Scotia Health staff, and council could participate with the creation of policy bylaw and community events relating specifically to alcohol. In January of 2022, Parks, Recreation and Culture staff reached out to have a better understanding of exactly what the Health Authority staff meant by this. And from that conversation, it was identified that the expectation from the health authorities that the project would be led by the municipality, and it would only be a supporting role from health authority staff. So while our strategic plan does identify that we advocate for the creation of community infrastructure and services that lead to a healthy lifestyle, Parks, Recreation and Culture staff don't have the capacity to spearhead an initiative of this size, specifically related to alcohol, and could really work with the health authority and offer support by connecting different community groups to work together on this. So from that, the recommendation is that council direct staff to notify the health authority that East Hants is unable to take the lead role in the municipal alcohol project as requested. And if council did wish to pursue a lead role in this project initiative, it would require additional staff resources and could impact or delay other projects and work that's planned currently by the Parks, Recreation and Culture Group.
Heard staff's report, council, what is your wish? Councilor Green.
I would move the council that we direct staff to notify the Nova Scotia Health Authority that East Hants is unable to take a lead role in the municipal alcohol project as requested.
Seconded by Councilor Musa. Is there any discussion on the motion? Question's been called. We'll go to the vote. And the motion has passed unanimously. Okay, moving on. The next item is a check-in with council regarding motion C28, previously invited all provincial political party leaders to an executive committee meeting delayed due to the pandemic and a provincial election has since happened. Does council want to extend the invitation now or repeal the previous motion? Kim, did you want to speak to that?
Thank you, councillors. The invitation or the request to come and meet with council was received from Gary Burrell of the NDP, and at the time, council's motion was to include all parties and send out an invitation. That, of course, was made right before March 2020. No explanation needed. I think we were going over the outstanding motions this week and are looking for council to clarify whether you still want to extend that invitation and have the 3 leaders come in and meet with council.
Councillor Perry.
Thank you, Madam Warden. I think it would be very difficult to get the 3 leaders to come in now. It's not an election year. It's not during their cycle. So I wouldn't really look to this. I just have a question through you to staff. Do we have anywhere in our schedule to invite our current representing MLAs to come in and speak with council? Is that on any agenda or any requests been put out for that for this upcoming year?
Through you, Madam Warden, we do not have them scheduled to come in, but we certainly, at council's direction, could make that request to come to a committee meeting.
So I'll make the motion and see if my fellow councillors agree or
Before we
what.
do that, Councillor,
Oh,
could we move to repeal this motion?
I will move to repeal this motion.
Seconded.
Seconded by the Deputy Warden that we repeal that motion as read. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
Question's been called. We'll go to the vote. And the motion has passed unanimously. Back to you, Councillor Carey.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Yeah, I think since the government has just recently announced their new budget and the new MLAs have had a time to settle into the new positions, I think this would be a good time to have all the representation for East Hants and the provincial caucus to come here and meet with us if they're available. So I'll move that we invite all 3 MLAs that represent the areas for the municipality of East Hants to come and on an executive committee meeting for, I guess, questions and meet and greet. Thank you.
Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Knockwood. Are you seconding? We need a seconder for the motion first. Seconded by Councillor Green. The motion, Councillor Knockwood.
Yeah, I was thinking, can we invite the regional chief of Nova Scotia to this meeting? Paul Prosper?
For this meeting, my intent would be for a government-to-government meeting because we'll be probably looking for funding stuff. I would be completely open to having a second meeting and inviting the leaders for Spaganagity, the National Council, to meet with us to discuss relationships we can have between each other.
Yeah, well, I think the AFN, 70th First Nation, has a pot of money also to help municipalities and First Nations to build partnerships. And yeah, I think it'd be a good opportunity to speak to him also.
CAO?
Through Madam Warden, we have a motion as well on the books to get together with this council, with Spaganagity's council. And again, that was during the pandemic, and we reached out to them.
Yeah.
The hope is that we can all get together in person, have those 2 groups come together in person. I'm not sure, Councillor, if that would be an appropriate meeting for that.
Well, I think that's important also, but this Paul Prosper is he's a rep for all Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, or for all the reserves in Nova Scotia. So we're going to invite the other parties for funding and all that. He'll have a good light what he can take up to the national level, right, and see what's out there across Canada. So it may benefit us in the long run.
Through you, Madam Warden, would that be an appropriate meeting? Would it be appropriate to have 2 meetings?
Well, it seems like it wants to be 2 meetings. I guess we gotta have 2 meetings, I guess.
Can I?
Councilor Perry?
Just, I have a question for Councilor Knockwood after his explanation. I think, with, is it Mr. Paul? I don't want to misspeak his name.
Mr. Prosper.
Mr. Prosper, would it be more appropriate to have him and our MLA or our Member of Parliament here at the same time, where they are on the same level at the federal level? And
Yeah, of course, he's on a provincial level also. He wears 2 hats. He represents Nova Scotia, so he's all over Nova Scotia and all across Canada also.
So councillors, what are your wishes? The motion on the floor is to invite the MLAs. Does someone wish to move an amendment to extend that invitation to Mr. Prosper as well?
can I would amend my motion to see if Mr. Prosper would be willing to come as well. I don't know how, if we have to structure the meeting a little different based upon what topics, like it's, forgive me, I've not had many opportunities to structure something in such a way because of the way the MGA works and the alignment for government. So I would look to the CAO for possible clarification on how we would, because I don't want to put anybody in a situation to answer questions that they're.
Through you, Madam Warden, I think definitely with the conversation would be different. I think when you have your MLAs in the room, you're going to want to focus on your Municipal Government Act. There's a lot coming down the pipe with respect to the Municipal Government Act. And I think the provincial government is undertaking a review of the relationship with municipalities, the financial relationships. And I think that would be a primary focus of any meeting you had with your MLAs at this point in time. And I'm not sure Mr. Prosper would benefit from being in those conversations. So I guess that would be my only concern is the topics are probably different. And I wouldn't want to waste his time coming and talking about Municipal Government Act legislation and that relationship. Again, we can have that conversation with him. If council wants to extend an invitation, we can have that conversation and offer him to come at the same time or at a separate time, see what he typically does with municipal units. If that's the intent of council, then we can certainly make that happen.
Would that be agreeable, Councillor Knockwood?
Well, I guess we can ask him, this being the only municipality, First Nation in any municipality in Nova Scotia. So I think it would benefit us in the long run, to have someone conversation with him, and it gets a better view of how First Nations and municipalities work together or future relationships.
Would it-
I don't think there's nothing to be scared of to bring him in. He's probably willing to learn what's going on also with the municipalities in the province too, so.
Yeah, and my intent for my original motion is exactly like to talk about the MGA amendments, and I just don't want to have a conversation that is something that, how do I put this?
So would I be safe in saying if we were to amend the motion to invite Mr. Prosper to attend as well and give him the option of coming with the MLAs or coming at a separate time if he felt his time would be better spent leave it up to Mr. Prosper?
Yeah, I think it's best to reach out to him, I guess,
Because from my point of view, I would value the conversation that we are going to have, we could have with Mr. Prosper. I just don't think the conversation that we're looking to have at this point is pointed in that direction. I think what we can learn, as you said, Councillor Knockwood, from First Nations and as well as everything else, I think that's highly valuable and that should take place. Yeah. I'm just wondering if this is the meeting because we're talking about the Governance Act, where we're going to be talking more focused on governance. But I'm open to putting what like the warden put forward in inviting and putting out the reason for the meeting. And if he would like to attend, I would welcome. And if not, at that time, we should arrange another meeting as well.
Does the seconder agree with that?
Do you agree?
Wayne, did you?
Okay. So the motion is to invite the MLAs and also offer the invitation to Mr. Prosper and to allow him, you know, if he doesn't feel able or wanting to come to that meeting, to then offer another invitation to come. Okay. Counselor Hebb.
Thank you, Warden. I agree with most of what's which was being said. This gentleman is certainly high up in the ranks, if I may put it that way. That would be someone who would be appropriate to come with the ministers of each party. The MLAs are our representative to the provincial government, and having him come to that meeting, some issues may be conflicting for the information he's bringing to us or the information that he may be giving. I would be more open to having a meeting with him alone and give us his side of what's going on, let us know what's going on, and we could relate to him rather than him come with the MLAs. And it's almost like two levels of government. He's higher up there. I would consider our MLAs to be the same as the chief from Spaganagity. That would be the same level as government, from my understanding. But to have somebody higher up in that, there may be some things that come up that may be relevant to him and may not be relevant to the MLA. So that would be my choice of having, and I would be looking forward to have him come and you know, just sit down with us and just to talk and get his side of things, and he could hear our side if there was any sides to be given. So thank you.
Counselor Musa.
Yeah, I'm on the same line with Councillor Hebb. And time-wise, if we have two separate meetings, I think we could have more conversation with him instead of splitting all the time between four. So you're gonna be, I don't think they're gonna give us hours. Like they're gonna have, if we're lucky, we're gonna get half an hour or 45 minutes, and that's gonna take like a lot of time. And I would like it's my first meeting with someone with like a chief or above the chief, and I would like to learn a lot from them. So I think time-wise, we should be having two separate meetings.
Counselor Rhino.
Councillor Hebb and Councillor Musa said it very well. I'm only gonna support two meetings. I think that's the proper way. Like I said here, we're meeting with our MLAs on issues of provincial to MLAs, to municipal government. So I'll support a meeting, a motion that will have two meetings, not one. Thank you.
Hey, councilors, the motion on the floor, I believe, is to invite the MLAs and allow extend the invitation to Mr. Prosper and allow him to determine if he wants to attend that meeting or a separate meeting. That's the motion that is on the floor. I have no one left to speak.
Question.
Oh, yeah, okay. Counselor Perry, did you have anything else?
I was
Sorry,
just
Mr.
wondering
Alexis.
if I could amend my motion to say if he would like to attend that meeting or have a separate meeting of his own that we could schedule. Would that, to give him the option whether he wants
I
to
think that
arrive
was-
that day?
That was the friendly amendment
That
to
was the
the.
intent.
Okay, that was the
original.
intent? Okay, as long as that's the intent, then I'm okay.
Okay, you ready for the question?
Question.
Question's been called. And the motion has passed 7-4. Oh, councilors Hebb, Musa, Rhino, and Green voting nay. Okay, next item, letter of interest for 821 Burncoat Road from Rod Hamilton. CAO, Adam?
Oh. Did you?
We had a friendly amendment to the motion. Yeah, I asked Counselor Counselor Perry if he was comfortable with the change in the wording. And he and the seconder indicated they were. If there's any confusion, we can do it the other way if you wish, but that was my understanding, that the wording was changed in the motion.
No, I don't want to be, sorry. I don't want anybody to be thinking that I don't want him to come here, right? Like, I thought I vote nay on the amendment, like, to bring him separately. So is that what I thought we're voting on?
No. We voted on the motion to invite the MLAs to come to the meeting and to extend the invitation to Mr. Prosper with an opportunity for him to decide if he wanted to attend that meeting or a separate meeting. That was my understanding.
Sorry, I understood it wrong, like, because we never did that before. So I thought we were voting on the amendment and then the motion. Oh, it's okay.
Well, for clarity, we can rescind the motion and redo it if counselors would prefer. That was my understanding, but what is your wish?
It's all good.
I just, ask for, if I misunderstood Counselor Perry as the mover of the motion, what was your intent?
My intent was as you said, Warden.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Tingley.
Yeah, through the chair. I was just going to say that I think we should leave the motion stand as it is.
Thank you. Counselor Rhino.
I don't mind the motion standing in the way it is, but I think where the confusion comes from, when somebody says an amendment, and when you say amendment, then it has to be put into fact. So if you're going to change your motion, just say, I'd like to reword my motion from, and then henceforth, there'll be no confusion.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay. Over to you, Adam, on the Burncoat property.
Good evening, Warden Council. You'll see in your correspondence there in front of you tonight that Mr. Hamilton, neighboring property owner to a municipal property on 821 Burncoat Road, has submitted interest in acquiring that property. It's a very small parcel on Burncoat Road that held the former school in the area. So he is interested in acquiring it, and I think what we would suggest to council, if you would like to have further information on it, we would bring back a report on the options for council to look at surplus property needs.
Counselor Rhino.
Does not surplus property have to go to an open public and not just singled vote?
That would be the intent, to bring a report with the options of disposing of the property.
And not just single source it to one person?
Correct, Adam?
Yeah, through you, Madam Warden, the report would outline to council your various options for surplus needs. I believe there is a clause in there around neighboring property owners, and council could consider that, but we would bring forward all of the options as well as conduct an internal review for needs as part of the process.
Good, thank you.
Counselor Green.
I would move that a report be brought back on surplus properties.
We have a seconder? Seconded by Counselor Tingley. Any discussion on the motion?
Question.
Question's been called. And the motion has passed unanimously. So I believe that concludes correspondence for decision. We will now move to committee reports, and we'll start with corporate and residential services. Over to you, Councilor Perry.
Thank you, Madam Warden. The committee held its regular meeting on March 22nd, 2022 in council chambers. The following motions are coming forward as a result of those meetings. Enfield Earthkeepers. The former CN train station building is located at the intersection of Highway 2 and Elmsdale Road. Municipality of East Hants has leased the building to the Earthkeepers since 2008, with lease renewals in 2010, 2011, 2014, 2017, and 2019. The current lease is set to expire in July 31st, 2022. There is no renewal clause in the current lease as per C18284. In December 3rd, 2021, dated letter reviewed at December 2021 regular meeting council, the Earthkeepers requested the current lease be extended for a 3-year term to terminate on the 31st of July 2025 with a 2-year option to renew. Council moved to direct staff to prepare a report outlining the options following the expiration of the current lease term. The Enfield Earthkeepers made a presentation at the March Executive Council meeting. The Corporate and Residential Service Committee recommends to Council that Council authorize the CAO to enter into a new lease agreement with the Enfield Earthkeepers for the former CN train station for a term of 3 years ending in July 31st, 2025 with a 2-year option to renew. The agreement is to include annual reporting requirements. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Seconded.
Seconded by Counselor Green. Counselor Rhino.
So have they submitted a written annual report before this? Since the meeting?
Adam?
Through you, Madam Warden, no, and I don't believe, if I recall correctly, the direction from council at the time wasn't to look at past annual reporting, it was moving forward. However, that being said, I did have a really good conversation with some members of the group around annual reporting requirements and the rationale and how we're consistent across our municipal organizations for that. And they requested even municipal support through our community development coordinator to work with them on that. So they are open to the idea. They understand now council's rationale behind it. So moving forward, we would have that. But to answer your question directly, no, we do not have anything from previous years.
So then I cannot support the motion the way it stands, because I do believe that there is where they give some kind of small explanation here at their presentation. I do not feel that they touched on, and never even really totally encompassed on their annual report on what they do out in the community, so I cannot support it. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions to the motion? You ready for the question?
Question.
Question's been called. And the motion has passed 10-1 with Councillor Rhino voting nay. Back to you, Councillor Perry.
Thank you, Warden. Discussion to council and public member mandatory proof of vaccination policy. The Corporate and Residential Service Committee recommends to council the council rescind the council and public member mandatory proof of vaccination policy. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Seconded.
Seconded by Councillor Green. Any discussion on the motion? Question's been called. And the motion has passed unanimously.
Nsfm Spring Conference Delegation Selection. The Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities is planning to host the Nsfm Spring Workshop in person for 2022 at the White Point Beach Resort on May 5th and 6th of 2022. The Corporate and Residential Service Committee recommends to council that council approve the following delegates to the Nsfm Spring Workshop in 2022. Shirley McEwen, Assistant Municipal Clerk, Warden Eleanor Rolston, Deputy Warden Mitchell, Councillor Tom Eisner, and Councillor Sandra Garden-Cole, depending on work commitments. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Seconded by Councillor Musa. Is there any discussion?
Question.
Question's been called. And the motion is passed unanimously.
FCM nomination to the FCM Board of Directors. The Corporate and Residential Service Committee recommends to council the council submit Deputy Warden Mitchell as a candidate for the FCM Board of Directors election, and that the municipality provide confirmation that they will support the nomination and agree to fund the necessary travel and accommodation costs for the position. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Seconded.
Seconded by Councillor Hebb. Is there any discussion on the motion? Question's been called. And the motion has passed unanimously.
A formal resolution as requested by the FCM will be considered later in the meeting. Updated the streetlight policy. The municipality governs the streetlight service through the street lighting policy, a council policy that came into effect when the municipality took ownership of streetlights in 2011 and installed LED lights throughout the serviced areas of the municipality. The 10-year streetlight installation contract recently expired and new contracts have been awarded. This report recommends updates to Schedule A streetlight map to include additional streetlights installed since May 2018, and Schedule B subdivider, developer, private road owner installation fees to reflect the new contracts. The Corporate and Residential Service Committee recommends to Council approve the changes to the Street Lighting Council policy as attached to the Executive Committee agenda dated March 22nd, 2022. As Chair of the Committee, I so move.
Seconded.
Seconded by Councillor Green. Is there any discussion?
Question.
Question's been called. And the motion is passed unanimously.
South Rawdon Community Hall. The property is owned by the municipality of East Hants. The subject property has been occupied by the South Rawdon Community Association. There is no record of any lease agreement or operational agreement. The association reached out to staff indicating they no longer have funding to operate and wish to turn the subject property back to East Hants. Staff have reviewed the subject property. Due to its size and location, there is currently no defined programming or municipal need for the property. Staff recommend declaring the property surplus for disposal, followed by a call for expression of interest for the property as in where is sale. The Corporate Residential Services Committee recommends the council deem the South Rawdon Hall property PID 45126349 surplus to municipal needs and authorize staff to call for an expression of interest to purchase the former South Rawdon Community Hall property PID 45126349 on an as-is, where-is basis, with submissions to be brought to council for consideration and direction, that any costs incurred for mothballs activities be funded through year-end surplus or professional services reserves up to an amount of $8,000. As Chair of the Committee, I so move.
Seconded.
Seconded by Councillor Musa. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Question.
Question's been called. And the motion is passed unanimously.
As Chair of the Committee, I move the adoption of this report.
Seconded.
Seconded by the Deputy Warden. All those in favor? Contrary? Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is the Audit Committee report. Back to you again, Councillor Perry.
The committee held a meeting on March 30th, 2022. The committee received a presentation from Robert Anthony, CPA from Deloitte on the 2021-2022 Audit Service Plan. No recommendations are coming forward to Council.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is, I believe, Planning Advisory Committee. Councillor Green.
Thank you, Warden. The committee held its regular meeting on March 22nd, 2022 in council chambers. The following motions are coming forward as a result of those meetings. Item 1, presentation, Melvin Lake Wind Farm Project. Bill McLean, President of Community Wind Farms Incorporated, presented information on the proposed Melvin Lake Wind Farm project in the Mount Uniacke area. Item 2, Greg Burke, first reading of amendments and initial consideration of development agreement. The municipality has received an application from Greg Burke to enable self-storage on a property zone mixed-use center, MC zone. Amendments are required to the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw to enable this proposal. Committee members expressed concern with the compatibility of this proposal with other land uses and are concerned with considering this application while the mixed-use center, MC zone, is under review. The Planning Advisory Committee recommends that this application, PLN 21-007 from Greg Burke for storage use, be refused. As Chair of the Committee, I so move.
We have a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Musa. Is there any discussion on the motion? You ready for the question? Question's been called. And the motion has passed 10 votes to 1, with Councillor Knockwood voting nay.
Item number 3, Scott Blois, initial report for rezoning and redesignation to Village Core. The municipality has received an application from Mr. Scott Blois to rezone a lot that is currently zoned 2 dwelling unit residential R2 zone to Village Core VC zone located at 236 Highway 214 in Elmsdale and identified as PID number 450-84894. The Planning Advisory Committee recommends that council authorize staff to schedule a public information meeting to consider an application from Scott Blois to amend the MPS and LUB by changing the designation and zone of PID number 450-84894 to Village Core VC. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Do we have, seconded by Councillor Hebb. Any discussion on the motion? Question's been called. And the motion is passed unanimously.
As chair of the committee, I move the adoption of this report.
Seconded by Councillor Perry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion is carried. Next, we have Park, Recs, and Culture. Over to you, Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Committee held its regular meeting on March 22nd, 2022 in council chambers. The following motions are coming forward as a result of these meetings. Number 1, Major Special Events Grant Request, Maritime Cup Junior C Hockey Championship. The Maritime Hockey North Junior Championship organizers are requesting $5,000 in the Major Special Events Grant funding to help offset the cost of running this event from April 27th to May 1st, 2022 at the East End Sportsplex. So from that, the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Committee recommend to council that the Maritime Hockey North Junior Championship be awarded $5,000 in support of the Maritime Junior C Hockey Championship through the Major Special Events Grant Reserve. As chair of the committee, I do so move.
Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Green. Discussion. Deputy Warden Mitchell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to staff, we're going to take advantage of this event and display all displays that we can, banners, et cetera, et cetera.
Through you, Madam Warden, yes, municipal staff will be providing the group with a banner. And that was something we had discussed with the group. They were very keen to show that the municipality would be supporting the event.
Thank you. That's all.
Any further discussion on the motion? Question's been called. And the motion is passed unanimously.
Playground strategy. These days, playground development strategies is a working document intended to provide council and municipal staff with a roadmap on how to achieve council goals regarding new playgrounds, splash pad development within the municipality. As best practices regarding those evolve, the strategy is a living document will adjust to reflect new guidelines, including industry trends and ensure. From that, the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Committee recommends council the adoption of the East End Playground Development Strategy dated December 2021, with the addition of the changes to the regional language and a definitive comment to be added to the report regarding the statistics in the rural area. As chair of the committee, I do so move.
Seconded by Councillor Musa. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Question.
Question's been called. And the motion has passed unanimously.
Number 3, Diversity and Inclusion Strategy. The Parks, Recreation, and Culture Committee Diversity and Inclusion Strategy is a set of guiding principles that will shape how recreation programs and services are delivered to its residents. This strategy reaffirms the municipality's commitment to increase inclusion and access as outlined in the East End Strategic Plan 2021 to 2024. So from that, the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Committee recommend to council, the council approve the proposed Parks, Recreation, and Culture Diversity and Inclusion Strategy dated January 2022 and repeal the special needs policy last updated in 1993. As chair of the committee, I do so move.
Seconded by Counselor Green. Is there any discussion on the motion? Question's been called. And the motion is passed unanimously.
District Recreation Funds Grants 2022 to 2023. This report brings forward District Recreation Fund recommendations for the Executive Committee consideration and recommendations to council. The first District Recreation Fund intake closed January 31st, 2022. There were 7 grant applications received with funds requested totaling $65,870. The applications were reviewed by the Staff Grant Committee and evaluated against council policy. So from that, the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Committee recommend to council that council approve the district recreation funding for 2022 intake number 1 based on the discussion as follows. Milford Recreation Association, $7,245 from District 3. 9 Mile River Trails Association, $3,000 from District 1, $3,559 district from District 2, and $10,723 from District 3. $10,000 from District 10 for a total amount of $27,282. Hants North Baseball Association, $426 from District 5, $426 from District 6, $426 from District 11, for a total of $1,278. M&M Recreational Association, $2,000 from District 5, $6,843 from District 6, for a total of $8,843. Tennecape Community Club, $5,865, that's from District 6. Uniac Mustangs Fast Pitch Association, $8,722.50 from District 8, $8,722.50 from District 9, for a total of $17,445. E.H. Horn School Preservation Society, $2,830 from District 1, $5,659 from District 10, for a total of $8,489. As chair of the committee, I do so move.
We have a seconder. Seconded by Counselor Head. Counselor Green.
Yes, through you to staff. The 6,843 and 5,865, are those numbers accurate? I think that would be more than I would have in my grant fund. That seems pretty exuberant for the projects I believe that were listed. Am I correct in thinking that, or?
Through you, Madam Warden, it's to my understanding that they're quite correct. We had finance and Corinne actually sat down at length to actually go over the numbers, and we had multiple people actually catalog all the different contributions from each counselor.
May I ask what the balance of the district rec fund is before anything is awarded for District 6?
Yeah, I can get that if you'll just give me a minute. Through you, Madam Warden, District 6 was $18,023.
So we see they all
May I ask what the total cost of the projects are for M&M and for Jackie?
Madam Warden, the project total cost for the M&M Recreation and the report of that committee was listed at $13,685, and the requested DRFs were $6,843. And Tennecape, the heat pump installation was $11,730, with the requested DRF funds of $5,865.
So would not an M&M Recreation where Keith is putting 2 in, would not my total be down to 4843?
I think the direction at committee was perhaps incorrectly assumed to be $2,000 plus the 6843.
I don't remember having a discussion on that at committee.
No, I think the way that it was noted, it was, I'd like to commit 2,000, so if the intent is that that would be off your 68, then that would be
That's
an amendment to this
normally the
motion.
way things work. Like, the one before that, Hants North Baseball, was split evenly 3 ways. And that was still the 6,843 would be half of the project.
If that's the.
I don't know what Keith's wishes were. I don't remember a conversation on that from committee. I remember him saying about Hants North Baseball, but M&M, I don't remember a conversation on that.
No, my wishes were to help them out because there's people from children from my district attend M&M. So not a lot, but there is people. So my intent was to help them out, right? So
If that is the case, then an amendment to the motion to make the District 6 contribution 4,843 for a total of 6,843, which was the request from the group, would be appropriate.
well, if I may,
Councillor Green, you still have the floor?
No, I'm interested to hear what Councillor Rhino has to say.
Okay,
my intent was, whatever that figure was, and I can't remember if it was the 6, was to take that $2,000 and it would give Councillor of District 6 a little bit of more room that to come off that. Instead of him paying the whole gamut,
Right.
mine was to help him out.
So then that amendment would be appropriate.
okay.
I would move that amendment, that the $2,000 from District 5 would be taken off the total from District 6 for the M&M Recreation Association,
Leaving a total of 6843.
leaving a total of 6,843.
We have a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Garden Cole. I do have folks waiting to speak. I'm going to have the vote on the amendment unless anyone who's on to speak wishes to speak to the amendment.
Question on the amendment.
Okay, on the amendment. And the motion is passed unanimously. Okay, to the amended motion, next on deck, we have Deputy Warden Mitchell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question through the staff. For the applications that were incomplete, the funds will be held until they're complete? Is that my understanding?
Through you, Madam Warden, yeah, so the funds will be held until the applications are complete, and since that time, we do actually have some additional documentation, so Corinne is actually working closely with them to get all the documents in order.
Has it ever been a case where the applications weren't completed and the funds were not given out?
To my understanding, that's not how we work through policy, so it's my understanding that we would not release the funds if the applications weren't complete.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councillor Head.
Thank you, Warden. I just realized my question is not related to the motion or my statement, so I'll like to speak after the motion is made.
Any further discussion on the amended motion? The question on the amended motion. And the motion has passed unanimously. So over to you, Councillor Head.
Thank you, Warden. I would just like to say that on behalf of the Nima River Trail Association, I would like to sincere thank you from the councilors from District 1 and 2 and 10 for their contributions to this project. Thank you.
Back to you, Councillor Rhino.
Thank you. Volunteer nominations 2022. Parks, Recreation, and Culture Committee recommend to council the approval of the Shining Star nominees provided to date. That the nomination forwarded by email to council be approved for the Model Volunteer Award and be designated to represent the municipality of East Hants at the 2023 Provincial Volunteer Awards, and that the location of the 2022 event be relocated to the Rodden Fire Hall and host Mount Udiac at the next available time when the facilities can accommodate. As chair of the committee, I do so move.
Seconded by, I believe, Deputy Warden. Is there any discussion on the motion? Question's been called. And the motion has passed unanimously.
As chair of the committee, I do so move the adoption of this report.
Seconded by Deputy Warden. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion has passed unanimously. Next is Infrastructure and Operations Committee. Over to you, Councillor Musa.
Thank you, Madam Warden. The committee held its regular meeting on March 22nd, 2022 in council chambers. The following motions are coming forward as a result of those meetings. Number 1 is Winter Road efficiencies. Further to council motion C21-290, staff were requested to provide a report on municipal road ownership efficiency. As directed, the primary focus was specifically to review winter clearing in respect to who cleared what road. The municipality of East Hants currently owns 31.68 kilometers of roads within 8 communities, with 1.44 kilometers of new roads nearing substantial completion. As many as 10 new subdivisions of various sizes are potentially seeking tentative approval for 2022. The Infrastructure and Operation Committee recommends to Council that Council not change programming approach until such time as the road ownerships between the municipality and province change to a less spread out and complex governance model. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Seconded by Councillor Green. Is there any discussion on the motion? Question's been called. And the motion has passed unanimously.
The second item, solid waste tipping fee policy. East Hants has an established policy, solid waste tipping fee policy related to fees charged at the East Hants Waste Management Center. This policy currently includes a 5-year fee schedule that will expire March 31st, 2022. The following report outlined the methodology in preparing a new 2-year fee schedule. The Infrastructure and Operation Committee recommends to Council that Council adopt the proposed amendments to the solid waste tipping fee council policy as attached to the Executive Committee agenda dated March 22nd, 2022, which includes a rate increase of 2 to 3% annually based on material type. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Seconded by Councillor Hebb. Any discussion on the motion? Question's been called. And the motion has passed unanimously.
Item number 3, update on operational impact from winter weather events. The 2022 calendar year started with significant swings in both temperature frequency as well as high volumes of precipitations. This resulted in flooding conditions affecting several private properties, both in the municipality and across the province. The occurrence of flooding triggered by extreme weather patterns resulted in a significant increase in service requests from residents seeking assistance to the magnitude of over 5 times the historically highest month volume for both January and February 2022. There have been several learnings for staff related to the public's level of understanding and awareness of what services are available and the most effective channels to pursue in order to seek support when impacted by extreme weather conditions. The report detailed the operational impacts through the start of the 2022 calendar year caused by extreme weather and some of the action taken and plans in development to respond to the growing needs of the municipality. The trifecta of impacts experienced significant development growth, extreme weather conditions, and working through pandemic protocols has challenged municipal operations unprecedentedly. There's no recommendation. Item number 4, road snow removal budget. Due to abnormal winter with several temperature swings below and above the freezing mark, along with several precipitation event has resulted in higher than projected spend on the road's snow removal cost center. The budget covers the latest 2 invoices received, but that only accounts for work completed up to February 15, 2022. For invoicing yet to be received for the remainder of February and all of March 2022, additional funding will be required to pay for that service. The Infrastructure and Operations Committee recommends to Council that Council approve up to $120,000 in additional budget for the road's snow clearing budget for fiscal year 2021-2022, and that these funds be taken from the 2021-2022 surplus, or in the event of a shortfall, the road's snow clearing operative reserve. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Green. Is there any discussion on the motion? Question's been called. And the motion is passed unanimously.
As chair of the committee, I move the adoption of this report.
Seconded by Councillor Hebb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion has carried. Next up, we have Source Water Protection Committee. Councillor Garden-Cole.
The committee held its regular meeting on March 10, 2022, electronically via Zoom. Jesse Halsman introduced Councillor Garden-Cole and Councillor Eisner to the committee, which was followed by a roundtable of committee member introductions. Staff updated the committee on aluminum levels in the Grand Lake watershed, the status of the revisions of the East Hants Regional Source Water Protection Plan, and upcoming plans to monitor for blue-green algae. Mr. Tom Mills of the Shubenacadie Watershed Environmental Protection Society updated the committee on the status of the Wetland Compensation Project and upcoming monitoring activities. There are no motions coming forward as a result of the meeting. As chair of the committee, I move the adoption of this report.
We have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Hebb. Is there any discussion on the report? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, next on the agenda, ratification of a land purchase for Burncoat Head Park. CAO?
Thank you,
Councillor
Madam.
Green, did you have a question?
Councilors, at our January 26th meeting of council, I received direction from council to negotiate for the purchase of Burnt Coat PID 45108339 on Burnt Coat Road. We have done that and proceeded through the purchase and sale, and the motion is on the screen for ratification.
Councillor Green.
I would move the council authorize the CAO to enter into an agreement of purchase and sale for PID number 45108339, Burnt Coat Road, for a purchase price not to exceed $264,000.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Question.
Question's been called. Someone has not voted, folks. Motion has passed unanimously. I apologize, Councillor Perry. I didn't realize that was falling under Corporate and Residential Services Report, so. Okay, next, a resolution for the FCM Board of Directors nomination of Deputy Warden Mitchell. And who's taking that one, so I don't get myself in trouble? CAO?
Through you, Madam Warden, there was a motion made at committee to support Deputy Warden Mitchell's nomination to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Board of Directors. The motion that is required, the resolution that's required from FCM is on the screen, and it would be appropriate, if council so choose, to pass this resolution that's in front of you.
Someone, Councillor Perry.
I move the passing of the resolution as presented.
Seconded by Councillor Knockwood. Any discussion on the motion?
Question.
Question's been called. And the motion is passed unanimously. Okay, next item is second reading for bylaw F400-7, an amendment to bylaw F400, exemption from taxation. And that is Councillor Rhino.
Okay, where do we? Took me by surprise, Councilor Ward. Arts, Recreation, and Culture Committee recommends to council that council give second reading to bylaw F400-7, an amendment to bylaw F400, taxation by exemption bylaw, and be amended to reflect the following changes. Remove property number 785-7012 East Hants Arena Association. Remove property number 785-7020 East Hants Arena Association. Remove property number 033-97645 Trustees of the Clarksville Community Hall. And correct name of the property number 013-60884 to read East Knoll Heritage Schoolhouse Society. As Chair of Parks, Recreation, and Culture, I do so move.
Seconded by the Deputy Warden. Is there any discussion?
Question.
Question's been called. And the motion is passed unanimously. Next on the agenda is the Warden's Report. So I will give you the chair, Deputy Warden Mitchell. March was a fairly quiet month with normal directors' meetings, and I also had opportunity to be here for the active transportation funding announcement on March the 9th. It's always a good news story when other levels of government contribute to any of the varied projects anywhere in the municipality of East Hants, and this was a particularly large amount that was awarded, and we certainly are grateful for that, and I was very pleased to be there on behalf of the municipality. On Monday of this week, on March 28th, I was here in the evening at the Design Awards along with several other councillors. It was good to see the caliber of projects that have been done in East Hants in various locations over the past 3 years. I think we had 5 recipients this year, which is perhaps fewer than some other years, but certainly not of any lesser caliber. And it was certainly great to recognize these folks. And other than standard meetings, such as the directors' meetings, the Audit Committee meeting and that earlier this evening, that pretty much rounded out my month. So that concludes my report, Deputy Warden.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Any questions to the warden from council? Seeing none, I'll hand you back to chair.
Thank you. Yeah. I forgot to write my notes before I came this evening. If I missed anything, someone can please correct me as we move along. That brings us to business from councilors. We will start with Councilor Rhino. Ooh, what did I do?
Well, since the COVID restrictions have been lifted, the District 5 is starting to make plans for future groups for fundraising and so on and so forth. So it's good to see. Meetings are starting to take place there. So I'm glad to see that there's a definite change and groups getting together, which they haven't been able to do for near 2 years. March the 19th, reported I presented a 90th birthday certificate in honor of Jean Patterson's birthday. That was very much appreciated by Mrs. Patterson. And I also attended the other night, on Monday night past, the design awards, so it was very well done. So right now, that's all from District 5. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Gordon Cole.
Thank you, Madam Warden. In District 1, the snow removal issues and flooding have eased some for sure, and hopefully for the season. The speeding issues seem to be increasing as the weather gets nicer. Just wondering, a few residents have asked me, given the fact that we've been talking about the speeding issues since last August or so, where the municipality is at with measures to reduce speeding. Through you, Madam Warden, I'm just wondering to staff where we are at with that, or what our plan is going forward on mitigating speed, especially in the subdivision areas.
Through Madam Warden, right now there is a council motion due for a report on speed mitigation options. That report is going to be delayed somewhat with the resignation of our manager of roads and engineering. So that is going to delay some of that work that is intended to happen this year. We operationally will, as staff, will be continuing on with work in conjunction with the RCMP on speed radar throughout subdivisions and augmenting our efforts in that front. The data collected over the last year is building momentum, and I would say that staff and RCMP coordination has become very strong with our data in the last coming year, and we're becoming more and more efficient. So that should carry over into this year. That said, that's just one of the tools in the toolkit. The community signage, the speed radar signs, and we have community education set up in our comms calendar for the year that has already been prescripted for this year throughout the year. And then along with the report that will build out additional options on more involved work that could happen or be choices for the years ahead. So that's still to come.
Okay, thank you. And on that note, I did have a few residents reach out for the signs that we have just acquired. So hopefully we'll be seeing some of those up, and that will be a reminder to drivers. I know it certainly is to myself, to slow our speed down. So, and that's it for District 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Eisner.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Yes, the speed signs are going out. I put one down with the RCMP with Corey down there. It was nice. That was the first one I put up, but another senior was commenting that it shouldn't just be for the kids, maybe some seniors walking along the road too, so I might stick one across hers. Yeah, the award night was really informative. A lot of great food there too, and I took 2 boxes. I felt bad about that until I got home. Yeah, I found that out later. But anyways, they're really good and really informative. I can't get over the building, the architect, when you're talking to him about this swimming pool, how we concept and how he's building it. It was really interesting how he come up with the ideas and all that. And he was really talking about the splash pad. Kids really enjoy it. But besides all that, I got a couple of cards mixed up with Marley. I had to go back to her and get the date right on a senior, so I had to go back there and give her a new card and more cookies. But anyways, it's all good, so I'll keep them going.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Hebb.
Thank you, Warden. Not too much to report. I also attended the Design Awards, and you covered the details very well, and I would like to appreciate the work the staff did in putting that on. It was a very professional job, and good job. Thank you.
Counselor Knockwood.
Yeah, thank you. It was very quiet in District 4 this last month, but I'm looking forward to putting out some speed signs out in the district. That and Shimonagan and Indian Brook, I think is well needed, and that's all I got there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Warden Mitchell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. District 2 activities. The Elmsville Fire Department and the Colchester East Regional Library Board have moved forward to follow the province's guidelines dealing with COVID-19, so there's no proof of vaccination or mask required. I delivered 4 speed signs last weekend, 3 in Elmwood Subdivision and 1 on Meadowview Way in Belnan. I also attended the East End Design Awards and was very impressed with the quality of work. One of the houses there I was interested in, but it was priced at $1.2 million, so my monopoly money didn't cover that, so I let that one go. I want to thank John and staff because the treats were good, but I did take them all home. So the province made the announcement of the affordable housing of $22 million, and my question when I was listening to the announcement was, how do they decide what areas they're going to provide the housing? And I don't know if staff knows that, but that was the question. Quite a few are in HRM, and I just wonder why East End's always seems to be missed. The Nova Scotia Federation Municipalities Rural Caucus meeting is this Friday, April the 1st, and I hope to go virtual with it. I had a question on the Aquatic Center bookings, but that was clarified by the director, so I can pass it on to the residents who think East End's residents should be first, but I think it's first come, first served. And that's all in District 2. Thank you.
Thank you. And I am assuming that our staff have no insight into how the province determines. Okay. Question, Councillor Musa, on the Deputy Warden's report?
Yeah, I heard through someone that 10 project went to Armco and Clayton, so it's not sure, but I'm hoping that there are gonna be some of them in East Ends. One guy told me, like, it's not official, but he heard that 10, like Armco and Clayton got 10 projects out of those affordable homes. So I'm hoping we get some here.
Kim?
Through you, Madam Warden, just from what I remember reading in All Nova Scotia, the housing projects are all within Halifax that were announced, and I think all but 2 went to Clayton. And that was by coincidence, according to the article that I read.
Okay, Councillor Green.
Thank you, Warden. Much the same as Councillor Rhino, things are starting to ramp up in District 6 with some meetings, people getting out and about. I'd like to invite you all to breakfast April 10th at the Fire Hall. And one other item, I've had a couple of residents from the community of Gormanville contact me. Canada Post, as you know, has changed the addressing all through. And the residents in Gormanville are now classed as North Knoll Road. And they're not happy about this because they look at this as their identity. Anyway, I've assured them that it wasn't the municipality that done that to them. But that's federal, but somewheres I don't know if the ball was dropped there with Canada Post, because it's still, you know, Knoll is one, Kennecook is one, and then it's North Knoll Road in Gormanville. So I don't know if it would be appropriate to write a letter to ask that. I mean, with Canada Post, it's like a dog chasing its tail, trying to get answers out of them. We've been down this road before and other things, but I would move that we write a letter asking them if there was an oversight in the naming of the communities on the 354, but it's all North Knoll Road with when we have a new postal code as well. It is, so.
Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Musa. Any discussion?
Question.
Question's been called. John, did you have any comment on that before we vote on the motion?
Madam Warden, we'll send a letter, and I don't know anything off the top of my head, so.
Question's been called. And the motion is passed unanimously. CAO?
Just for clarification, is the letter to ask them to revert it back if it was an error, or are we ready to go there
If
yet?
they could take the community of Gormanville and make it like 7171 Gormanville with the new postal code. I mean, that's what they're scared of, losing the identity of their community. And this isn't like right on the fringe of Gormanville, this is right in the middle of the community.
So the intent of the letter is, did you make a mistake? And if you did, please
Yes,
revert
please
back.
correct it, yeah.
Okay.
Anything further, Councillor Green?
No, that's all, Madam Warden.
Councillor Perry?
Thank you, Madam Warden. It's been a busy time in District 8. Had the opportunity to attend the Uniac Fire Hall for a funding announcement with the federal government. The federal government's going to fund 75% of a community pad behind the fire hall, with the municipality and the local recreation fund picking up the other 25%. So it was good to be on hand with the fire chief, Brian Supple, and our member of parliament, Cody Boyce, for that announcement. It's going to be well used, and they're hoping to have the pad done and completed sometime as soon as the ground dries out a little bit, and they can get that done, which is a great announcement. There's a little bit of hockey fever right now going on in Mount Uniac. The local high school that our children go to in Windsor, Avonview High, both the women and the men's teams both won their regional, and the men are hosting provincials. They're both off to provincials. There's multiple players on both the boys and girls teams from Mount Uniac, and so there's a lot of excitement, and looking forward to some good hockey coming up this weekend. I was unable to attend the design awards. I had a personal issue come up and was unable to attend, but I did hear from one of the award recipients from my district, and she was absolutely thrilled with receiving her award for her design of a net zero home. She couldn't tell me how wonderful the event was, how well staff had it organized, and how special it made her feel. So I'd like to commend staff and the other counselors and everybody who was there. It was really appreciated by this recipient, and they really take that to heart. So thank you. I also attended the library committee this month with the deputy warden, and we had quite a few motions and movements come out of there, which very shortly we're going to have the one library card. So basically the whole province will be under a one library card system, with the exception of Halifax. They'll have their own. The rest of the province will all be one. It's going to expand the collection that people will be able to draw from the entire province, not just the Colchester Chance Library, for digital assets as well as books. So that's great news. That's going to be coming out very shortly. I also sat with the Audit Committee. It was good to see that everything is going well. right? And I think that's a reflection on how well our staff and all our directors and our budgeting and our finance and how everything goes. So I really think, you know, we went through budget season. The budget's been posted online. I've had some residents connect to me since it's been posted, look through it, and they found it very easy to read and very transparent. And I know for every department, it's a scramble to get everything together, as well as for the finance. So again, we said it before, but thank you so much to staff for all the hard work getting that budget out. People actually do read it, and they actually do call us about it. A couple of other issues have come up. They're worth mentioning because I think it's going to affect more other people going forward. There's been big busing issues in Mount Uniacke. Parents getting notified in the middle of the day that their bus is not going to be available to take their kids home at the end of the day, so they have to scramble to get there to pick their kids up. We are a rural municipality in that respect, and I live in a rural riding, and you know, you have pre-primary right through grade 9 kids that are just left at school because there's no bus drivers, and they've exhausted every avenue. If you look online, they're hiring bus drivers. So if anybody wants to be a bus driver for CCRE, they're hiring. They're definitely needed. It's definitely something that is very stressful for the parents, and this is COVID related, right? If their drivers test positive, they can't come back to work. So as we ease restrictions and we move in there, COVID is still here, and COVID still affects daily lives and has a great effect on people. So that's one of the things that's happening in the community, and it's very stressful for people going forward, trying to adjust their work schedules as they are returning to work and expected to return to work. The flexibility that was there during COVID when these events happened is no longer there for a lot of people. So that's something we all have to keep in mind. And I believe that's it. That's all for District 8. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Musa. I'm trying.
Okay.
There.
Thank you, Madam Warden. He didn't leave me anything to say. He said it all as usual. No, I was talking to the few members of the fire department, and they were very excited about the new project, and they cannot wait to start it. And also, all the residents are very excited about it. And one more thing, I think we should not lay down on the church property. I think staff should be after it because it's very strategic for us. And I was looking the other day, like the MLA for Sackville got a lot of money. I guess he gave $635,000 to the community Springfield Lake. So I think if we could get something going on, and we should be able to get some funding. And that's it for now.
Did you have a comment, Adam?
Yeah, through you, Madam Warden, we can just do a follow-up on that property. That property hasn't come forward for council's input or decision. It was just more an inquiry, a local property in the area, just to see if it was going to go up for sale. And then if it was and council had that interest, it would come forward through that process. So we did send in an inquiry initially, and they let us know if they made a decision, they would come back to us. We haven't heard from them, but we'll send another note. That's the property across from the high school, the former church, right adjacent to the municipal parcel of land that we have in Mount Uniacke.
Thank you. That's everything for now. Thank you.
Counselor Tingley. Oh, that's okay.
I attended a meeting with the members of the board for the Sportsplex with Deputy Warden Mitchell on March the 7th. They've had a tough winter with the shutdowns due to COVID. Financially, it's impacted them significantly. I'm sure we're probably going to hear from them again for a little assistance to get them through till September, but I expect by September they'll be back in business, and it'll be business as usual. Also attended that Design Awards night with some other fellow councillors on March 28th, and was very impressed with some of the buildings there. I actually attended our pool for the first time this past weekend, and was very impressed. I went with my son and his wife and my 2 grandchildren. That is an amazing facility, and I would suggest anybody that gets an opportunity make use of it. Still receiving some calls about water and sewer problems that occurred during the rains, and I actually received a message from one resident in Lance representing a number of residents at the bottom of Tower View and Logan Drive. And I'm aware that they have had flooding on a number of occasions. I just received an email just before I came to this meeting, and the person that sent me the email is listing 14 separate floods since November at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations. I'm aware of other locations that are flooding at the bottom of Tower View and Logan. My understanding is that some sort of investigation would have to be conducted by staff to determine what's going on there, why they have such a problem. And I understand that it would cost about $40,000 to do the investigation. Would involve video inspections and that sort of thing. And I'd like to add that to the 2022-2023 budget if we can. So I'd like to make a motion to add $40,000 to the budget to investigate what's going on at the bottom of Tower View and Logan for those residents.
Before I call for a seconder, the CAO and the director wish to make comments. I'll go to the CAO first.
I think we're both looking at the same email, so through Madam Warden, there have been some emails back and forth. That we did get a note on from the resident on the sewer backups for Logan Drive and Tower View. The director has indicated that some video inspection and whatnot with the targeted scope set by the municipal engineer could be done. It would be in addition to the 22-23 budget at a cost of approximately $40,000. The urban service rate would be the tax rate that would pick up that charge. There are reserves in the urban service rate for wastewater expenditures of $105,000, and you have an urban service rate contingency reserve with a contingency balance of about $880,000. I guess my caution to you would be there are probably several areas in the corridor that you would get similar letters from. We are doing a sewer capacity study that will do a lot of work on the system and the capacity with inflow and infiltration, which is, we've gotten those studies done in the past as well. There are a number of issues that cause this type of events to happen in our systems, and not all of them are municipal. Quite a few of them tend to sway towards the way that homeowners have their homes connected into our system, be it stormwater or wastewater. I think from reading the email this evening, the folks who are requesting this certainly understand the issues and certainly understand what's involved in this. I guess my only concern would be that it is one area, and maybe it's a good area to start with. We've certainly got a lot of incidents in that area, but it may not stop here. So it may be, it's this one and then it's another area. I guess that would be my only caution. Are those all good things to do? Probably, but when and how we get to them would be a question for council to prioritize. I don't know, Jesse, if you've got any other thoughts.
Through Madam Warden, just additional comments. It will come down to resources on how many areas we can review within a fiscal year. That said, is we will have updated information beyond video inspection through the service capacity study that's happening. So there will be beneficial information come in, and staff could look into additional areas for continued investigations in future fiscal years and just do a continual rolling one. I would suggest that to take on the and I looked before council started at our service network in the area to do a full video review in-house, contracting out the video service will take some time. We've done them before. And what you can find is a variety of different things. Some are actionable, some aren't. And so it gives us an idea of what's going on. There might not be any immediate actions. And so that's the only caution. But from a technical staff always want more information. So we're obviously for it, but it's choices. And there might not be a good output, but it is a starting point. So I just throw that out there.
Okay. Do we have a seconder to Councillor Tingley's motion? Do we have a seconder to the motion? Third and last time, do we have a seconder for the motion? The motion has died for lack of a seconder, Councillor. Councillor Garden Cole, you wish to comment?
Well, thank you, Madam Warden. Just that my concern initially about that is that I've got multiple residents on Tyler Street and Alderney and Cali Lane, all with drainage issues that, I mean, and myself, like we've all had a really, or a lot of people have had a real struggle with drainage and flooding and sewer and all this winter, but to start, doing an inspection of certain areas would just be definitely, I would think, opening up a lot of people wanting inspections done in their area because there's been multiple issues in concentrated areas. So that would be my only hesitation in either starting to do a bunch of areas or not doing any, or deeming which ones do justify doing inspections. That's just my concern with opening it up to that. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Tingley, you still have the floor, but Councillor Perry wished to speak. Is this to this particular issue, Councillor Perry? Is that okay to go to Councillor Perry for his comments, Councillor?
Thank you, Madam Warden. Yeah, my thinking was along the lines of Councillor Garden Cole, and after hearing from the director that there is already a study being done on the whole system as a whole, which will identify things, I think something as what proposed might be an avenue to explore after that report as a pilot project if anything else needs to go more in depth in certain areas. So I think that initial report coming back from that's already been commissioned will give a better view for the whole corridor network, and then be able to go from there. Thank you.
And back to you, Councillor Tingley.
I'm fine, if there's a global report or investigation being done. I just want to differentiate between sewer problems and storm sewer. Like there's a lot of storm sewer problems, and I'm not an expert, but from what I observed, most of those are not the responsibility of the municipality. There's just a drainage problem. People have inadequate drainage away from their residents. But the sewer problems, when somebody has sewer coming up through their, backing up in their house and it's blowing off check valves and that sort of thing, seems to me there's something wrong with the system somewhere. And I've had a few complaints about the sewer system in Lance that I think, from what my understanding, staff are investigating those issues. If staff are already investigating the problem with the sewer system and there's going to be some sort of a global report, I'm fine with that. And well, the motion didn't carry anyway, so that's it.
Thank you. Any other business, Councillor?
That's it.
Thank you. Okay, councillors, we do have, before I ask for a motion to go in camera, we'll set the date and time of the next council meetings, which are April the 19th, 2022, for the regular meeting of council for policy, and April 27th, 2022, regular meeting of council. Moved by Councillor Green, seconded by the Deputy Warden. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion is carried. I will be looking for a motion to go in camera for a couple of issues, a contractual issue, and as well as a CAO priorities report wind-up. Looking for a motion to go in camera. Did you have I just didn't turn it on. Okay. Someone prepared to move that motion? Seconded? All those in favor? Contrary? Motion is carried. We'll discuss a contractual issue and possible land purchase. Out of that meeting, we have one motion coming forward. Councillor Hebb.
Madam Warden, I would move that the plexiglass in the way. Move that East Hampton enter into discussion for the acquisition of DAR line and direct staff to begin project due diligence immediately.
Moved and seconded. Councillor Rhino.
Do we really need this motion? We've given direction to staff.
Yes, we had that discussion, we do.
Well, okay, but around purchase, you know, I just feel that this motion is, we give direction, come back here and get a price.
We did have a discussion in camera, Councillor, that this part of this would be appropriate to be made in public.
I don't know. Okay, carry on.
Any discussion on the motion? Question's been called. And the motion is passed unanimously. Okay, folks, I would be looking for a motion to adjourn. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Contrary, motion is carried. We are adjourned.